G'day. Welcome back to another video. This time we're in 2023. When you guys are seeing this, it's going to be the 1st of January where I am. For the rest of you guys, it's going to be the 30th, 31st? I don't even know how many days are in December. But I hope all you guys had a wonderful Christmas and a really safe New Year. Well, when you have a New Year's, that is, because we're already in it. Because I live in the future. All I can say is I hope 2023 is much better than 2022 or the last 3 years, but I don't think it's going to get any better, trust me. I think it's only going to get worse. So today what I want to talk about, and for the rest of this month, because January is a month where we have Australia Day in this month on the 26th. It's going to be a whole month of me telling you about the crazy shit that happens here in Australia and what has happened here in Australia. So you guys can learn that Australia is just as fucked up as the rest of the world. And also January is my birthday month as well. Can you guess how old I am? I just want to see if I'm showing my age. I hope I'm not. And also I will be talking a lot about a lot of Australian cases this year too, because I have found a lot that are very, very screwed up and I really want to bring them to everyone's attention. But today I thought I would kick off 2023 with heat, because it is that hot right now. I am melting. It is like 100 degrees here right now because we're in summer and I am not dealing. I hate heat. God knows why I live in Queensland, but I do. So I wanted to kickstart 2023 off with telling you guys about a town that I used to live in. And it's been dubbed one of the most haunted towns, if not the most haunted town in all of Australia. And that town is called Maryborough in Queensland, Australia. Now, Maryborough is one of the oldest towns in Queensland, and there is good reason for it to be haunted, but it also has housed a lot of murders. And this town has some very dark and disturbing murders. A couple of cases that I'm going to be talking about today sort of were quite close to home. And even one of the cases is about a girl that I used to go to school with. So enough of me rambling absolute rubbish and shit. Let's get on with the video. Maryborough is a small town in Queensland and roughly has 27,000 people and is just 30 minutes inland from the coast and about 2.5 hours drive from our capital city, Brisbane. Probably the coolest thing about Maryborough is the fact that the creator of Mary Poppins, P.L. Travers, was born there. And there are tributes and statues all over the streets. Like, the streets are just littered with the statues. I might be exaggerating a little bit. And Maryborough is where I spent a huge chunk of my life, from the age of 5 through to 20. It is known for its sugarcane and farmers growing sugarcane, building trains, and these trains that get built there get sent all around Australia. And a lot of the buildings are so old that the town is practically heritage listed. There is a maximum prison on the outskirts, basically in the sticks, which brings a lot of troubled families to the area, unfortunately. And Maryborough and the whole Wide Bay area that it is situated in is the highest unemployment area in the whole of Australia. And now let's get on to what makes the town that I used to call home one of the creepiest towns in Australia. The Molly Thompson murder, 1942. On the 11th of August 1942, a 24-year-old woman named Molly Thompson was walking along Bazaar Street in the early hours of the morning in her green pyjamas. This was the last time she was seen. Missing persons reports went out for a week after her disappearance, and searches were conducted in all air raid shelters, Mary River banks, and all parts of the town, but no one could find her. On the 21st of August 1942, 10 days later, she was finally found dead, floating in the town's water tower, and yes, the water supply that the townspeople drank. This actually reminds me of the Cecil Hotel incident with Alicia Lamb, where her body was found in the water supply as well. And just thought of drinking that water is absolutely just sickening. And yes, some of the townspeople did report that there was a funny taste in the water. This left investigators baffled, as there was a ladder that went up the side of the tank to the top, but it deterred people from going up to it because the ladder did not touch the ground, requiring another portable ladder to get up to it. Without this, Molly would not have ever been able to get up to the top, which further speculated that she was murdered and taken up there by someone else. The coroner's report said that she had drowned and ruled it a suicide, as no suspicious circumstances were found. Her doctor said that she had been suffering from signs of depression and a nervous condition due to possible links to a man she was in love with but couldn't be with because she was a Catholic and he was a Protestant. And there was also speculation that she fell pregnant to him, and his reputation around town would have been destroyed because he was a very popular businessman. So they think that this man may have done away with her. But to this day, her death still remains a mystery. This large water tank is still there on the corner of Anne and Adelaide Street, but it is just a piece of historic structure now and no longer in use to supply the town with water. The murder of William and Edith Moffat, 1977. On the 22nd of September 1977, William, 51, and Edith, 50, they were found dead, bound and gagged at the foot of their bed, with a gunshot to both their heads in an execution-style murder. The only clues that the police had was that they were tied with a pink cord. A .22 caliber rifle was used, and a Valiant AP5 was witnessed outside their home. William was a bank manager, property valuer, and church secretary, and was well known in his community, and Edith was also known for charitable work in the community. This still remains unsolved today and is one of Queensland's most scary unsolved murders, with no one understanding why they were targeted. Was it mistaken identity of the previous owners? Or did William or Edith upset someone in the community? Kate Beveridge murder, 1994. On the 31st of May, 1994, 2-year-old Kate Beveridge was abducted from her home and brutally murdered and sexually assaulted by a 16-year-old boy. The boy allegedly killed her by swinging her by her ankles and repeatedly hitting her head on the floor. Her body was found in long grass near the railway tracks 150 metres from her home. This murder changed the juvenile justice legislation bill in 1996 to try and prevent this kind of horrible act to never happen again to any other child. The Shamrock Hotel shooting, 2000. 26-year-old Benjamin Howard McConnell entered the Shamrock Hotel in 2000 with a sawn-off .22 semi-automatic rifle and a .22 target pistol and shot and killed Rachel Ann Merlo, 29, and her friend Perry Lee Stratton, 37, before shooting and killing himself. It's believed that it was over a broken relationship. Rachel had broken off her relationship with Benjamin, and he was not happy and did not want to accept it. I actually remember this quite clearly because on the local news they said that the friend was shot in the pub, and I remember seeing the bullet marks on the glass at the front of the pub when, like, from the road when we would drive past, and I could even see the dried blood as well. And I also remember that they said that Rachel ended up actually running out of the pub and running up the footpath, and that's when Benjamin followed her and actually shot her in front of the pub on the footpath. And there would have been a lot of witnesses to that because the pub is on the corner of a pretty busy road. I remember because I was a teenager, I was not very comfortable driving past the pub after that, and there was no way in hell you could get me into that pub now. It's no longer called the Shamrock anymore. It closed down in 2015 and reopened as the Bike and Brew, where you could get a meal and you could also buy a motorcycle. The Aldershot Murder-Suicide, 2003. This one is a little close to home, as I knew and went to school with the girl involved in this tragedy, and she used to actually date one of my good friends at the time, before this all happened. In a suburb out of town from Maryborough called Aldershot, in roughly July 2003, a 23-year-old man shot and killed a 19-year-old woman and her 12-month-old daughter with a high-powered rifle in a caravan behind the home in which they were staying, over their relationship turning bad. She had left the Northern Territory to return home to escape this man, who was the father of their child. He followed her back to Maryborough, where he killed both his ex and their daughter, and then turned the gun on himself. The police were called after the neighbours heard the gunshots. He apparently tried to re-establish his relationship with her, but in failing, he took matters further by ruining their lives. Well, ending their lives, I should say. The sister of the woman, and the woman's name was Belinda, but we called her Billy, found the bodies at the property that was owned by their father. Billy was found in the caravan with a gunshot wound to her head, and the child was found outside the caravan, and the man was found next to a vehicle. Now, I had moved away at this time from Maryborough, so I had one of my school friends contact me and let me know, and it was definitely a shock because she was a nice girl. I personally didn't have a huge amount to do with her. She hung out in the same group as me, but I sort of really had nothing to do with her as a good friend. The sex worker murder, 2018. 26-year-old man named Matthew Bradley James Tench met a 58-year-old Thai sex worker named Linda Lovett at the Maryborough City Motel on the 3rd of November 2018. He plunged a knife into her 26 times after having sex with her and told police that he just felt like killing a person and killing some bitch by stabbing the shit out of her. He stabbed her in the neck,
torso, and she apparently put up a fight. Screaming for her life, she got outside where staff and guests at the hotel tried to save her, but her injuries were too severe. Matthew was apparently suffering from schizophrenia, antisocial tendencies and suicidal thoughts, anger and low tolerance of frustration, and admitted he had enough of life and had been through so much shit. If this is true, because this is what the mainstream media websites said, that is no excuse to do that to somebody. That is your own shit that you've got to deal with. Linda also had defensive cuts on her arms and hands, and her cause of death was blood loss from her neck wound. There was so much blood that it was reported that Matthew at one point even slipped and fell over in her blood. He was sentenced to life in prison. These were the main incidents that happened in Maryborough. There has obviously been quite a few other incidents that have happened, but these were the big boys that happened. These big stories that I've mentioned, they definitely rocked this small community. I still go to Maryborough from time to time because my doctor is up there, my partner's parents live up there, and he also does jobs up there as well. But I live about 40 minutes from Maryborough now in another town. Not only does this town have a pretty brutal past with murders, but it also is very haunted, and like I have mentioned before, it is one of the most haunted towns in Australia, if not the most haunted town. Now, I could do a whole video on the locations that are haunted. Let me know if you want to hear about them, because there is a shit ton, and the most notorious haunted house in Maryborough is called Baddo House, and that whole area is creepy as fuck. So hey, let me know if you want me to do a follow-up video on top of this one about the haunted locations in my old hometown. Now, the illustration that I decided to do for these stories today is I went with Mary Poppins as a demonic, horrible entity. And she's ripped the head off of somebody, and it's sort of just portraying the history of Maryborough with Mary Poppins, and having that Mary Poppins history combined into this illustration, but also turning it into a horrific, horrible scenario with Mary Poppins being a demon, and then represents all the horrible things that have happened in Maryborough. Like, I don't know if I would call it the most haunted town in Australia. Surely there's got to be others out there, but I do know it is one of the oldest towns in Queensland here. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are, and if you have a town that you used to live in, or you know of a town that is absolutely riddled with murders and being haunted, and hey, let me know, because I would like to do a video on them, and I will be more than happy to do a whole video on a town that you suggest. I'll do some research into it, and then I will display it for you guys to watch. And if you happen to be someone from Maryborough who's watching this video, is there anything else that I have left out, or I've missed that I haven't talked about today? Let me know, because I want to hear more stories. Just because I live there doesn't mean I know everything. There's a lot of things that I obviously don't know about, even in a small town like that. So hopefully you enjoyed some of the stories about the town that I used to live in, and hopefully you enjoyed the illustration of my demonic Mary Poppins. I'm out of here because I'm starting to sweat, and I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable here. I need to get out into some air. That's if the air isn't laced with 100% humidity, which most of the time it nearly is. I want to believe. Well, I do believe. I'm out of here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Bye from me and my tiny microphone. He's cute. Like and subscribe.
These are the ghosts from Maryborough telling you to like and subscribe.